You know what, it seems like weather is more and more at the center of the story. And I don't think it's just me thinking that. I mean, we're naming winter storms, we're constantly talking about global warming. School closures are a massive deal. I mean, more and more, weather is pulled in constantly throughout the day. So how do networks accommodate this sort of overload, I guess, of weather content? Maybe, Karl, I'll start with you.
Absolutely. Now, the key here is to have a weather provision, weather content creator that links in with the rest of the workflow at the news desk. So regardless of whether or not a meteorologist is on staff that particular hour, it should be able to pull in real weather content and create whatever is applicable to the story that they're trying to cover. In addition to that, obviously having skilled meteorologists like Tom here on staff is very much the key. So getting access to content creation, having data that feeds into that, and having a talent, a meteorologist that's able to analyze that would be how to cope with that challenge.
Tom, you've been a meteorologist for over 2 decades. How have you watched the industry transform?
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing. You know, when I started back in the mid-1980s, I was in the military, and the local weather guy from the station used to come to our military weather station and trace out the highs and the lows off our weather map, then drive back down to his TV studio and somehow make the graphics. That's 1984, so it's 34 years later. If you look at the way things have moved forward too, we hope we don't push ourselves out of business with avatars coming in, but if you look at the amount of data that's coming down, the how accurate the data is today, how much of it there is, I think the most important thing today to stay with it is you have to be able to understand all the data, be able to access, and then be able to actually make sense of it to people on the air.
That's true. Interpretation is really the key, and the weather presenters are at the center of that. So I guess the question is, can we get rid of meteorologists? Will we in the future? I hope not, because personality is also a key part of it.
Absolutely. You know, the branding of the TV station is people. I mean, yes, you have logos and you have graphics, but it comes down to how a presenter, how a meteorologist, how the talent is able to communicate with the audience. So conveying the information, engaging the audience, that is really important. On top of that, yes, there is a lot of things, a lot of operations in the on the weather desk that really can be automated, but the analysis of the weather systems, analysis of the data that comes in is really a craftsmanship task. And that is where the meteorologist comes in.
And it's not just personality, there's the science end of it as well, because we have a whole library of different data sources that we have to kind of go through and figure out, this one works in this situation, this one works in that situation. So there's a lot of work on that side of it that an avatar is not going to be able to do.
Absolutely. And you see the clip that is up in front of us right now. That is actually showing the radar from this morning in Florida.
Yeah.
And that is a classic situation where you have a developing thunderstorm that is coming in from the west, and you see the band of thunderstorms that are stretching across the peninsula there. Analyzing that, and that data is coming in every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So to be able to analyze that and actually bring that on to the viewer, that is key.
As to when the storm's going to hit and getting the timing of things, the accuracy is so much better, and it's not just the short range accuracy, but the longer range stuff now is really, we're getting good. The models are really getting good now.
Absolutely. I believe we have another clip that actually shows that, if we can cue that. Eventually that will be queued.
With so much data coming in constantly, I mean, we're not just talking about weather. Sometimes it goes to other events as well. I mean, can you give me an example of when meteorologists are pulled in that isn't necessarily weather related?
The classic case would be volcanic ash.
Sure.
We have, unfortunately, airplane incidents, accidents, where we're called out to explain what has happened in the background of that.
Wildfires, things like that, all kinds of just different things. Anything from, the eclipses, and you have to be a jack of all trades. You have to have some good knowledge, because in the local television station, the meteorologist is often the station scientist. Yes. So I think for our evolution as meteorologists, it would behoove us to be more knowledgeable in different areas, to be able to share that knowledge with the audience.
Absolutely. And one more thing there, not only is the weather person, the meteorologist, the station scientist, but the education level as well of the meteorologist is increasing every day.
Oh yeah.
So we see really people with master's degrees and PhDs in meteorology being in front of the camera. It's fantastic because that is where you can teach people. It's an education task, right? So you educate the audience. You can introduce more and more advanced parameters as well. And the forecasting models that we have today, they have such a vast variety of data products that we fed in there. And then being able to educate people, bring in one or more parameters. You have more advanced upper air parameters that actually forecast the weather much better than just the surface parameters.
And doing it in a way that the average viewer at home can understand what you're talking
Absolutely.
about.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
that's
so
where,
important.
that's the real key. I think that's the real talent, is to be able to take some of that and just make it basic.
Yeah.
When you look at some of the technologies now, the data that Karl talks about and Metacast, do you wish that you had that creativity at your fingertips back then?
Yeah, we just had whatever was given and that was it and just went with it. So we didn't really have the ability to maneuver around, and I think the accuracy of forecasts suffered in the past because of the lack of data sources. But as time goes by, the accuracy is really getting pretty good now. It really is.
Do you think, though, it changes how people view the weather? I mean, are we perceiving storms differently now that they have names, that sort of thing? What do you think?
I absolutely think so, and I think it is important. It can be a hype, and it can be overhyped, obviously.
Yes, too many names.
Too many names, and like in Germany, they name low pressure centers. But I think the more you personify the weather, the more you relate to it, I think the more you're prepared and aware of it.
Yeah.
And we spoke about this a little earlier. Every year, people die from lightning strikes, and people don't even think about it today. But on average, 20 plus people in the U.S. die every year. In 2016, I think it was 39 people that were actually killed by lightning strikes, and people are not aware of that, and they don't think about it. So bringing the science back into the newsroom, bringing the tool chest into the newsroom so that the scientist has access to all that data, that is really a key.
And making use of the data and having the knowledge to understand which sources work in certain circumstances.
Absolutely.
Is very, very key.
And that lightning stat was just in the U.S. too,
Yes,
right?
Exactly, just in the U.S.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's mind-blowing. It's, if people go out and search the net, it's like hashtag WRN, Weather Ready Nation.
Very important.
It's a very important initiative by the NOAA.
Really?
And they are pushing information out there that really relates to how do people behave in severe weather. I know people still go out golfing when there is a thunderstorm nearby. You don't do that.
Right.
When it roars, stay indoors.
Yep.
Can you say that again, because that was great.
When it roars, stay indoors. I wish I was coining that phrase.
The bigger the clash, the bigger the smash.
Ooh.
In air masses.
That's right.
That's one of mine. I don't pull that out every day, Karl.
Special events only.
Yeah. I like that though, when it pours, stay indoors.
This is when you've worked for over 20 years in weather, both of you.
Well, I've been doing this for 25
you come
years.
up with a lot of
We're
things.
weather nuts.
Yeah.
I think Karl's more of a weather nut than I am.
I'm not the way.
Karl, what is the weather like in Vegas today? You've been talking a lot about weather
Sunshine,
systems.
baby.
Sunshine.
However, there's a big change coming. Not in terms of actual cloud cover, it's not that much clouds, but the temperature, I believe, it switches a lot until Thursday.
Certainly, yeah, we're just going to have a wind shift around to the north.
Yeah.
So we're going to see about a 20-degree Fahrenheit drop in temperature here by Thursday, I believe.
I'm going to bet $1 on that. I think we have even a graphic that shows it.
Okay, yep,
This
there
is
it
from Metacast this morning.
Yeah.
And you have a 20-degree forecast drop from Wednesday to Thursday. How about that?
Look at that. All
Something
right,
to look forward to.
Yeah.
We'll have to get out of this trade show at some point and enjoy that sunshine, I guess.
Yeah. Skip the rest of the day, folks. It's over. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Sure.
Talking about weather. Karl Eggestad from ChyronHego and longtime television meteorologist Tom Hauf. Thanks again.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.